Joining us now with more on this, Democratic strategist, founder of Nuestro PAC, Chuck Rocha, and politics and journalism professor at Morgan State University, politics editor at The Grio, and an MSNBC political contributor, Jason Johnson. Gentlemen, good morning to you both. Chuck, let me start with you because we were talking about Miami-Dade. What do you see as you dig through those numbers? What happened to Joe Biden there?
Let's talk about what happened there. I think it's super interesting. I've been doing this for 31 years, and I've never seen such a dramatic swing. But let's clarify something. Joe Biden won the Latino vote statewide in Florida. And if he would have performed at those same numbers that Steve just described in Miami-Dade, Donald Trump would still win because we lost white voters by a larger percent as well. So we can't lay this all at the feet of blame on Latinos. He underperformed across the board. And I'll say it again, Donald Trump won a majority of white seniors and a majority of white college educated. But there was definitely a problem in Miami-Dade. And I've been the Mexican redneck crying wolf around here for a long time about the Latino vote. So much so I wrote a book about it this summer outlining what we should be doing to start earlier in these Latino communities, building a narrative to push back on the socialism argument, but also meet people where they are. That Mr. Johnson actually talks about all the time, with people who look like our community, being in the community with PACs and leadership run by Latinos. There's not another woke white consultant that's going to save us or fix this problem.
And all the people said, amen. Hey, Jason, I'll tell you, the message that really worked, I heard it in Florida, heard it from Cuban Americans, and heard it from other people in Miami-Dade. That socialism argument that Joe Biden is a socialist, which, of course, certainly seems laughable to those of us who have followed his career and have seen him often attacked by Democrats for being too close to credit card companies, too close to the big banks. But it worked with Cuban Americans. It worked with immigrants from Venezuela. It worked with immigrants from Nicaragua.
Joe, I do wonder about that, and I'm looking forward to digging through some of that data, because if you actually believe this is not Bernie Sanders, it's Joe Biden. If you actually believe that Joe Biden is a socialist, you were never going to vote for a Democrat anyway. That's kind of like white voters who are like, Joe Biden's going to defund the police. He picked a DA as his VP. The guy is not about to defund the police. So I think as we dig through those numbers, I wonder if when you talk to some of these native Spanish-speaking or Spanish-speaking in their homes when they grow up voters, if they're going to say that socialism was what actually made them concerned about Joe Biden, or did they just like Donald Trump? But I think the bigger issue is this, and I'm glad Chuck mentioned this because I've been talking about this all along. This is just like during the primary, where you had a large number of African-American analysts and reporters who were like, look, we got to see what happens in South Carolina or what happened in Georgia in 2018. There need to be more experts and more journalists and more analysts with deep relationships and connections to Spanish-speaking and Latino-American communities so we can disaggregate these things. Because in the same way that Joe Biden may have underperformed in Miami-Dade, he did a fantastic job if you look what happened in Arizona. He had mixed results in what happened in Texas. So I think this hopefully will be the end of anyone ever saying people of color, and hopefully will be the end of us just saying Latino in general. We'll talk about Puerto Rican Americans and Central American immigrants and Cuban Americans and make those distinctions both by color and language and race.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that obviously we've been saying here for quite some time. In fact, years ago, I started explaining to Democrats that they couldn't look at the Hispanic vote, the Latino vote, as monolithic. They couldn't say, oh, it's all about immigration. It's all about this issue. It's not. It's an extraordinarily diverse population. And it depends. Like, for instance, in Arizona, and Caddy, I know you got a question for Chuck, but it's like Arizona. Joe Arpaio in Arizona and other moves by the Republican Party in Arizona have turned off Latino voters there.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at what's happened down in Florida, and if you ever needed a reminder that the Latino vote was not monolithic, we are waking up this morning and getting that. And Chuck, you made the point that actually Joe Biden took the Latino vote in other parts of Florida, a majority, and there's such a distinction. I wonder if you think to what extent events outside of the United States, and we watched Venezuela, we watched Donald Trump invite the Venezuelan opposition leader, Juan Juan Guaido to the State of the Union address. And I remember at the time thinking, is this a Florida play? Because this goes down well, not just with Venezuelan Americans, of which there are a growing number in Florida, it also goes down well with Cuban Americans. And to lump that group in with people who've come from Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, it seemed, Chuck, naive on the part of outsiders to think they have the same voting priorities.
Katie, I think you raise a great point, and I think it's very relevant. And Donald Trump was smart, at least his campaign was, and I can't believe I just said those two words together. But down in Miami, Donald Trump and his team started really early, and they started having these messages, Katie, and talking about these visits ahead of time. I would remind everybody of my tweet around the RNC convention when I said, walk past this, Democrats, as you're at your own peril. One Cuban after another on stage, naturalizing people in the White House. Sure, was it disgusting? Did he take advantage? Yes, but it was smart politically because he knew he could eat into the numbers. Get this. Donald Trump started advertising in Spanish in Miami-Dade in the beginning of June, spending $500,000 a week. Joe Biden didn't get up there till the end of July. So that was 6 weeks almost unanswered. And Joe Scarborough knows this better than anybody. You only get one chance to make a first impression, and then it became a steady drumbeat. And those ads were not about how great Donald Trump was for the Latino community. It was, can you really trust Joe Biden? And then at the end, you saw all this disinformation campaign in Spanish that led on, can you trust Joe Biden? To Mr. Johnson's point, then you just saw all of this cultural competency go out the window because they knew exactly who their target was.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.